What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. Through the past couple of months, there's been a lot of talk about the Airbnbust and Airbnb hosts either taking huge declines in their revenue or that they're losing money. This has been a very common topic among Airbnb hosts, TikTok platform people, YouTubers, all of this, and what I've seen in real life hasn't necessarily jived with that in really any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, most people that I've talked to on the internet, in the various owners group, especially in the Smoky Mountains owners groups that I am in, have mentioned that they are seeing a decline in revenue. They are seeing a little bit less demand for bookings, but for the most part, they are either flat on their revenue, they are down just a little bit, and there's a lot of folks that are even saying that they are up a little bit or even quite a bit. And that depends a lot on what you did last year, how you performed last year, and how things are going for you this year. But I'm going to put this chart that's been passed around on the screen, and it says that in the Sevierville market, which encompasses Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Wares Valley, Sevierville, and just the greater Sevier County area, that says that revenue is down something like 48% on average. And if you think about that number, the 48% down, that means that that is the average. So there has to be at least 50% of the people that are even worse than 48% down, and some people that are better than 48% down. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard of one single person that is anywhere close to 48% down, in definitely not anyone that's any less than 48%. I'm going to tell you guys right up front what I am doing, whether I'm up or I'm down. But first, I want you to hit the like button. I want you to subscribe to this channel down below if you are new here, because for the month of June between 2022 and 2023, I am down 14.6% on my gross revenue, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how that lays out and where I ended up with my net revenue, which is really, at the end of the day, the most important number for me. We are in my QuickBooks software. This is where I do all of my accounting, and I highly recommend learning how to use QuickBooks if you're going to run a short-term rental business or really any other type of rental business or any business, because this is what most accountants use, and it's just the kind of the gold standard of the accounting community. And when we look at this, you can see that for June of 2023, we did about $14,533 of gross revenue compared to June of 22 when we did $17,011 in gross revenue. And this only encompasses the two cabins called Moonlight Ridge and Whispering Woods. My third cabin we didn't have in June of 2022, so we will not be able to do any comparisons in that. So if you look at where those numbers end up, you get a net change of minus $2,477.72 for that change overall of negative 14.6. And it's you should look at where this money's all coming from. In June, we had quite a bit more Airbnb income than we did in 2023, and that does make a bit of a difference because Airbnb charges about 5% less than VRBO, so there is just some of that revenue that is being eaten up by VRBO charging 5% higher than Airbnb. But when we scroll down here, and I don't actually have to scroll down, I can just come down here, and you can look at our net income at the bottom line. We made about the same amount of money in June of 22 as we did in June of 23 because of the differences in our expenses. In 22, we ended up putting in a well pump that was about $2,600, and this is why a lot of times I like to use gross revenue numbers, and people don't like that sometimes. That includes your cleaning fees and everything that ends up hitting the bank account, because each individual owner is going to have a different amount of expenses, different things that happen in any given time of the year. So that gross number is really the only thing that you can sort of compare apples to apples to. Now, let's go ahead and minimize this, and we are going to look at my year to date. Between January and the end of June 2022 to 2023. And we have that on the board right now. I thought we did anyway. Yeah, here it is. And what we're looking at for January to June, we are only down 3.6%. And I'm kind of hesitant to use this because we had a really rough January with one of our cabins, but it's just kind of indicative of the things that go on when you're managing a short-term rental business and short-term rentals in general, because you're going to have problems. And in this case, we had a water leak, and basically we were shut down there for January. We ended up getting an insurance payout, and that's what this uncategorized income in the 2023 column is going to represent. But then that's offset with more repairs and maintenance down here, where we have a very high amount in that because we had to put brand new floors in. But if you look at where we are at the midpoint in 2023, we are looking at about $71,000, almost $72,000. In the midpoint of 22, we were at about $75,000, and so that's a negative 3.6 number. If we come down here to our net income amounts, you can see that actually in 2023 we are again up by almost $1,000, by 4.8%. So even though our gross is down by 3.6, we are ahead in the net income, which at the end of the day is what is going to be the most important to you. Now, when you're looking at these numbers, you do have to take some things with a grain of salt. And no, I'm not lying to you about anything. I have nothing to sell you. I'm not a realtor. I am not trying to push you in this. I'm just basically telling you what is working for me and what's not. The only thing I'm really trying to sell you on is subscribing to the channel. When I do my accounting, I do it based on when the deposits hit my account. So that would be whenever the VRBO or Airbnb puts that money in my account, and that can skew the numbers widely. Because, for example, if you have a reservation that starts on maybe the last 2 days of a month and is a 7-day reservation, you may have 2 days, like let's say at the end of May, and that reservation is paid for at the end of May and it's deposited in the account and accounted for in May, but there are 5 days that are in June that end up not being accounted for in June. So that can skew the month over the year over year monthly comparison pretty wildly in either direction, which is why I like using the total year or the year-to-date comparison that provides a much more accurate number overall than just the month versus month, year over year. And then you also have to look at what each cabin did on a monthly basis. And again, this is a snapshot in time. If there was any sort of problem in that particular month, or if one cabin just had an absolutely outstanding month, that is another thing that can affect these numbers wildly for 1 month, but not necessarily reflect an entire yearly trend. We can see that very clearly if we break down these two cabins into their classes, whereas we separate out each cabin and don't have them combined into one single report. If you look at this 1952 Reagan's Ridge Way, which is our Whispering Woods cabin, you can see that in June of 2022, we did $6,634, and in June of 23, we did $7,501, with meaning that we are actually 13.1% above our 2022 numbers for this cabin in 2023. If you look at our 717 Upper Windsor cabin, that is Moonlight Ridge, in June of 2022, we had an absolutely blockbuster month. This is basically a 1-bedroom, 2-bath cabin. It's a 1-bedroom plus loft. We market it as a 2-bedroom, 2-bath cabin, but it is a small little place, usually for a family or a couple on vacation. And we did $10,376 in June of 22, and we only did $7,032 in June of 23, making that one a decrease of 32.2%. And so when you look at them like that, you can see that there can be wide swings, and it could also completely be from accounting and where the various deposits end up hitting the accounts and getting accounted for in QuickBooks. And so while there is definitely a trend for a decrease in demand and a decrease in rates, because that's what we've been doing, we have been setting our rates to match the demand. And for the entire time of 21 and 22 and probably the first part of 2023, rates were pretty much continuously going up because that is what the market would bear. Once we started seeing a decrease in demand, a decrease in our booking, and a decrease in the distance out that we were booked, even though we tried to keep it about 6 to 8 weeks, we were starting to creep into that. We started reducing our rates, and we've reduced them fairly aggressively, and to the point where now in the last month or two, I haven't reduced rates at all, and I'm actually starting to think about starting to tick rates up a little bit more as things become booked on individual cabins that are booking up a little bit farther, a little bit more than what I want at this particular time. I am still seeing bookings becoming closer and closer in, whereas before, if we would have had a weekend that was unbooked, within 1 to 2 weeks, I would have reduced that price to try to get a booking. I have found that that really didn't have much effect at all, and that these things were starting to book 1, 2, or 3 days in advance, regardless of what the price was. So I've been keeping the prices a little bit higher, and we have still been able to keep those booked. The thing is that the folks out there that are saying that the sky is falling, that the revenue is down, nearly 50%, those folks they are probably not seeing that on their own end if they are Airbnb hosts at all. And there are a lot of folks out there that I have seen on various owners groups that are actually rooting for people to fail and cheering that the newer folks that have gotten into this, that they are, waiting for them to fail. And to be honest with you, I honestly think that that's one of the most pathetic viewpoints that you can have, rooting for someone else, another small business owner like you, to fail. And again, I don't think that anyone out there is seeing that 50% decrease in revenue, especially in these major vacation markets like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, the Gulf Coast, just places where people are always going to be going on vacation no matter the economic situation. But those folks that normally go there, they have been absolutely crushed by inflation lately, and so bookings are going to be a little bit slower. They're going to be a little bit closer in, and we are probably going to see rates sort of trend down from here probably to the end of the year maybe, or at least stay level, with some areas for opportunity as the year wraps up. And we'll see how that goes as far as the demand goes, how inflation goes, and just how the general economy goes overall. So guys, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button for me. Like I said before a couple times, subscribe down below if you haven't yet, so that you can see everything that we're doing with Airbnb, VRBO, and short-term rentals. There's playlists and videos on the screen right now that tell you all about how we manage these from afar, the types of cabins that we buy, and just the trials and tribulations of running a short-term rental Airbnb, VRBO business. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I will see you on the next one.